I was just making some videos. I was finishing up this other video with this girl on the vaccine. She got hurt by the you know what scenes. And then I want to go back to this other girl. She had a good video yesterday. This is that girl Squirrel Vibe, and she has some new information. I think this is the one. And her the video she did.
Okay, so y'all, happy Monday, my dudes. Listen,
Yeah, she
Friday
did
night
this
and
yesterday.
Saturday, we had a few issues occur in Ohio that we need to discuss right off the bat. And then I'm going to explain to you how bad it really truly is when it comes to what happened Friday night in East Palestine, Ohio. First off, we're going to talk about Saturday. We're going to start there. So Norfolk Southern had another train derailment on Saturday, March 4th, 1 month and a day since the derailment and subsequent chemical release and burn in East Palestine, Ohio. For those of you who aren't aware, which I'm sure most of you are at this point in time, there was a train that derailed. It was carrying 212 rail cars, or cars, however you want to call it, derailed in Springfield, Ohio. But according to Norfolk Southern, it wasn't carrying any hazardous materials. So, silver lining, I guess, that nobody there now has to worry about the foreseeable future and health concerns and water and food and things like that. So, thumbs up Norfolk Southern for not trying to kill more people in Ohio. But it says here Norfolk Southern train derailed in Ohio.
Okay, my battery was dying, so I had to plug this thing in. We're looking at Jordan Peterson series part 4 up on this upper screen while we listen to Squirrel Tribe describe a bunch of shit that's going on all over her area. No, not her area. She lives in Florida, but Ohio. She seems like she's getting all of her information good places. Um, Shit that we're not hearing anywhere else on mainstream or anything. So I want to hear her out a little bit more today.
On Saturday evening, marking the second train derailment in the company's history in just 1 month, which I'm pretty sure there was another one. I think maybe the one in South Carolina was CSX, though, because there's been a lot of train derailments so far in 2023. And it only being the second one of Norfolk Southern doesn't seem correct unless they mean the second one in Ohio, because I'm pretty sure there were other ones throughout the country from Norfolk Southern so far this year. Anyway, it says here, however, unlike last month's derailment, which caused mounting environmental and public health concerns, officials said there were no hazardous materials on board in the latest accident. So this happened in Clark County. The 20 of the 212 cars derailed carrying 4 tankers, which were labeled as carrying non-hazardous materials. I don't know what was in those tankers. They have not said. I was trying to find all the information before I hit record, but so far I do not know what was in the tankers themselves. I do know that everything that derailed, nothing spilled, so that's a plus. Whatever was in all of the 20 cars, everything stayed within those rail cars. So hopefully it's easy to pick up, move, and get everything out of the way. So life in.
Okay, I'm going over to Jordan Peterson part 5. Jordan Peterson series part 5 in the Michael Oziak channel. Let's check this one out.
Clark County can kind of go back to normal. I will say that if you have not seen the derailment, take a look at it. I wanted to show you guys a video here, but it's getting a little wonky. It won't work, and I don't edit, so I'm not going to throw it in. Just jump on YouTube. You guys can see it. I know plenty of other channels probably have the derailment itself. But what I noticed was interesting was that it derailed at the actual railroad crossing. And I wonder how often these derailments that we are seeing are happening at these railroad crossings, where you're going to have plenty of traffic on the rails themselves, from the trains, but also going over it, cars and semi trucks and buses and whatever else. So you have double the wear and tear in these railroad crossing areas. And it seems to me that those places need to be kept up a lot better than they have been by the rail companies and whoever else owns those little stretches of the railroad. That seems to be an area that has more issues than the rest of the railways, like a mile down the road past, the crossing itself. So that was just a thought that I had while we're sitting here talking. But what I want to mention to you guys is what happened Friday night. So Friday night, there was basically torrential downpour in Ohio and a lot of other places. Because again, the weather in the United States lately has just been off the rails. No pun intended. But it has been a little stupid all over the place.
Yeah, and again, something that no one else is paying attention to. So see these mineral streets that are running all over the sky in all these different directions. You see these mineral streets, right? Some people are out there calling them chemtrails and they're CIA. Other people are out there calling them condensation trails. Those are mainstream media. And then you've got me, one person, one fucking person that's showing you what they're using them for, what they're doing with them. I'm also at the same time showing you that you can take advantage of that and see the true creator's work in them. Same, that's why I'm bringing you from the clouds to the trees to the moon to the leaves and dirt and snow and ice and grass and whatever and human skin. So you don't get confused and think that this is a hologram, because there's other people out there telling you that you're living in a hologram, and that's not the case. You're finally going to get to see the true creator and the true creator's work, the true creator's builders. It's all here now for you to see. But if you don't see it, pass this on. Pass this information on to somebody else who will see it, because we're running out of time. Because people, like she just mentioned, here's this person who's so fucking smart. She's looking for all this information. She's all over the internet. She's really working hard to try to, because she can feel it, but she don't know exactly what it is going on. And I'm trying to show you what it is that's going on, what they're trying to hide from us, what they are hiding from us, and it's right in front of our faces, right? So no one will even look up to see the mineral streets. Very few. And when they do, they're falling down agents' traps. They're falling into these traps set up by the agents to call them things that they're not. Well, they are, but you're going along with the terminology, and that, unfortunately, those terminologies that they're using is psyop terminology. It's all psyop. So it's not good to use, because it's just going to be used against you if you use that information. So there's mineral streets going all through here. I can see them. And then they spread out. And then we call them clouds. And in the old days, not too long ago, we used to put all these mineral streets, what you call clouds, we used to put them up using stacks, big fucking stacks, leaving our factories and all the things that we would burn and bring the carbons up into the atmosphere. I mean, the imagery is really, really good. And then here I am going to go putting a green filter on it too. Yeah, the imagery is really good. How anyone's coming to these videos. Now, this had 14 views on it. 14 views. And what I'm seeing right here is like blow your fucking mind. So why does my videos only have 14 views? I don't get that. Even if I only have 4 subscribers, they could be sharing these videos, and there's no way you're going to share these. Some of my subscribers have 40, 60 people on their channels, stuff like that. So if you got 40, 60 people looking at it, then how are those 40, 60 going to look at something like this and not pass it on to another couple hundred people? Well, I've had this channel up for 6 years now, and it's obviously being very repressed. Obviously, these videos are having a hard time getting through, because this is unbelievable. I don't even think I've ever been to this video before. I don't think so. If I did, it was in passing, because it's too unbelievably fucking good to not see everything that's in here. I don't know. I don't fucking get it, man.
Place. I just saw that there is a weather advisory coming out for Thursday, that there's going to be a massive cold front that moves across the.
Right, because see, we control the weather with these mineral streets. The United Nations will write their reports in their papers and tell you what they're actually doing with them and what's in them, and then everybody will say, "Oh, that's conspiracy theory." No, the Rising should be reporting on it. Fox News, if they were real, would be reporting on it. Alex Jones, if he was real and not connected, then he would be reporting on it. These people all hide it, deny it, lie about it, and then people like, someone was asking me the other day. We got in an argument about the Alex Jones thing. Oh no, he's got to be real because he got sued. My uncle said the same thing to me about right about when he was going through the lawsuit, and it was, what is it, $2.5 million or $21 million, whatever. It doesn't matter. It doesn't. Cost doesn't matter. They're all part of the same system. So the same people that set up those hoaxes, and the hoaxes are everywhere. So all these hoaxes that people, you, the average person out there, might think, oh, there's no way that could be a hoax. I mean, it's just too much. You have to look at it really serious. Just look at it. Don't listen and believe what they're saying. Just look at the whole situation. And when shit starts falling apart and it doesn't make sense and you can't make sense out of it, don't continue to try to make sense out of it. Just know that it's a fucking hoax, and don't worry about it because there's not enough time to be going down all those rabbit holes, and not going and looking at the true creator's work that I'm trying to show you right here. I'm gonna try a red filter for the fuck of it.
The entire country. They're showing Georgia having low 40s or high 40s on Thursday morning. And it's like, I'm pretty sure it's spring at this point in time. Like, it's literally March and we should have warmer weather, but here comes blizzards and snowstorms and ice and all kinds of stuff. And it's very, very weird and suspicious. But let's talk.
Well, I've been trying to point out the mineral streets for almost 20 years, right? So, yeah, I started off slowly. What the hell is this? What's going on? That kind of thing. Because when our industrial revolution ended and we sent all of our plants over to China, then we needed another way to be dumping these minerals out in the atmosphere. And we have much better control dumping them out in jets than we did of putting them up in stacks. Now, before our industrial revolution, there were other cultures that were using the same exact technology. They were using the true creator's energy to control weather. They knew that if they had these large fires and burnt up the side of the mountains, then the carbons would go up into the atmosphere, and within a certain amount of time, they knew the system and how it worked, and they knew they could get precipitation that way and that kind of thing. And then before their time, we even knew more about it. This here, what I'm showing you, this is the true creator's energy that I'm telling you we can all use as human beings. If we all go look at it all, we can use this. And then if we want to build using 350-ton stones again, we can. We can go back to that technology because the technology's still here. It never left. We just closed our eyes to it. It's all here for us. That's a big part of all this that everyone should try to understand. The when I talked to you guys about all the resets that we had and that we lost the energy, didn't mean the energy disappeared. Every time we come back from a reset, the false creator slash creator, his work's still here. The true creator's work's still here. Every time we do a reset, that work is still here. We just don't know how to use it anymore. We lost it. We gave it up to our slave masters, and we all agreed to be fucking ingenious. We all agreed to be ingenious. You educate us, put us through school, teach us all the lies. We'll go along with all the lies and we'll pretend that we don't see reality for ourselves. And that's exactly what's fucking happening everywhere.
Talk about what happened on Friday night. So Friday night, there was a water issue that went from bad to worse. But I want you to see the difference between these two news outlets. So what I did was I tried to find exactly what happened, and I want to tell you what happened. So they're saying that the dam that was set up in East Palestine, Ohio, to kind of corral the contaminated water, although they're telling us the water's fine, the dam they had set up was breached and it overflowed due to the heavy rain Friday night, right? So you have this whole thing of, oh no, the dam has burst in East Palestine, Ohio. The dam, right? Burst in East Palestine, Ohio, and there's chemical water going absolutely everywhere. So what I want to read to you here, I have two different news outlets. This one is from commondreams.org, okay? The next one after this is from an Ohio news outlet. And I want you to hear the difference in the way the two reporters, I guess you could say, have phrased these things and how you feel after each one of these articles. Because I've mentioned numerous times that the way that we are told things determines how we feel about things, which is why I try to keep it just kind of as factual as I can with what I'm reading. Although my opinions, when I'm throwing my opinions at you, there's definitely going to be some emotion in those. I'm an emotional human being. It is what it is. Get used to it, y'all. But when they say, the hazardous chemical spill, well, you have to remember it was not a spill. They breached the tanks. They let the chemicals onto the ground, and then they willingly set them on fire. So when they say, oh no, this, toxic chemical spill and fire, look at it a different way. Look at it as exactly what it is, not how they want you to see it. And I want you to keep that in mind here for this as well. So here,
Okay, so the reason why I'm liking this girl so much is because a lot of the things she's talking about, they track back to the same thing these other people that are making videos that I've been putting on, like the beef farmers being shut down, the agricultural farmers, the organic farmers all being shut down, the fact that all of our farmlands are being bought up by all the multi-billionaires, right? Um, what I'm telling you about the chickens and the chickens uh, going out of business because chicken plants and chicken, not chicken plants, but chicken raisers, the people that are raising the chickens. I don't think I've seen too many chicken processing plants go down. No, I don't, not that I can think of. They're always the farmers. So, chicken farm fires, several of them all over the United States, spread out a little bit here and there. And she's about to bring up some shit in this video that's really connects with all that. She doesn't even realize it, and I'm gonna try to play it through. She's a little wordy also, but what she has to say about all that, it connects to all the rest of these things. Because she's looking at train derailments and where they're derailing and where the problems are, and then what's on these trains, where they headed to, and all this stuff. So she's looking up all this information, which a lot of it ends up being a waste of her time, but some of it she's hitting on. But she's not hitting on the fact that they're all connected, and they are all connected. That's why I'm saying when you see the bird flu come out, more and more people are talking about the bird flu. Now we've known about the bird flu for 30, 40 fucking years, maybe longer, but it's been in the public's programming for about 30 years. And they've always insisted that nothing from the bird, whether it's the mites, what I call metellus, biometellus, the biometellus they said could not transfer to the human. That's not true. The biometellus from the chicken can transfer to the human. In fact, a lot of them are dust mites and fungus mites, and there's thousands of each strain. And then you got different scale mites, and scale mites like bone. So if they make it into a human, they're going to go for the bone areas, fingernails, and that kind of thing, cartilage, because that's what they like. There's other ones that will transform as they're changing species. Now, they don't look at those as viruses or sicknesses, they just look at them as a mite, as a biomite. And they refuse to admit that they transfer from all these other species. They transfer from fucking plants. They could be on your plants outside and you're eating them. Even when you wash your plants, they're on the inside and then you're eating them. We're taking these metellus in a big way all the time. But again, that's for another 10 hours worth of videos to talk about the metellus, so I try to get through without getting into it. But it all comes down to these fires that are happening there where the farms being shut down over the last 30, 40 years. Everyone's pretending that it's only happening over the last 2, 3 years. No, man, it's all of it. The bank collapse, the banking collapse, all going down now. Biden giving away more and more of our rights to these so-called world leaders, unelected leaders, all this shit. That's all been happening. I mean, these have all been implanted over the last 30 to 50 years. It's not something that Biden's just doing now. They've already been in place. And then each president that comes in signs off on each one of these things, but he's just told what to do like the rest of the zombie slaves, you know?
This article, like I said, is from commondreams.org. And it says, breached dam, incineration of soil, flood East Palestine with fresh fears of toxins. And it says here, the collapse Friday night of a makeshift dam designed to hold back wastewater and new concerns by local groups and residents about the nearby incineration of contaminated soil from last month's train derailment are the latest anxiety-producing woes to beset the community of East Palestine, Ohio. Watchdogs on the ground reported that the dam broke after heavy rains in the area on Friday. Here it says residents tell 19 News that heavy rain caused Leslie Run Creek, which is one of the two creeks that they were worried about. I think there was a
Right. So then we can also blame the fact that all the truckers, right, got shut down. Canada, United States, real big, all over the earth. But the trucking companies, though, in our two countries, in Canada and United States in particular, there's a huge decrease in the amount of truckers that are out on the roads, bringing us our goods. They're all in vans now doing deliveries. They're not even in the big trucks as much as they were, and no one's even noticed. This, again, is not something that happened even since COVID. It's something that's happened over the last 30, 40 years. This, again, goes back to the smart city initiatives and all that kind of shit. It goes back to not wanting to cross state lines. And I'm telling you, it's been going on for a long time. Did not just start. And the evidence in the fact that it's been going on for a long time, a few examples would be driver's licenses and how much harder it is now on everybody. Not only for the expense of it all and the insurance of it all and all that stuff, but the driver license itself of being a trucker. Okay, in the old days, 15 years ago, I want to say they started doing this, is where they started making it so nobody, including truckers, but they used truckers at the excuse of why they were implementing this, was they didn't want truckers any longer to. Yeah, I'm gonna leave the filter on, I guess. I don't know. I'm wondering if I should take the filter off or not. Yeah, I'll just leave it off. It's really good. There's a lot of color already in it. Um, Truckers used to license in every state that they were going to be driving in, so they'd have 3 or 4 or 5 licenses on. Depend some most times it was only two, but if they crossed a lot of state lines and stuff, they would get licenses in each state. Then they changed that law. It was probably about 15 years ago or more, and they changed that to now one license, and you had to choose your state, and then you lost rights when you were then going into these other states. So it had the because what a lot of things change. So then your truck that you're now registered now has to be registered in the state that you're licensed in. Also, you're not allowed to register into another state. If you do, you only get like 2 to 3 months now to transfer your license into the state that you're now going to register your truck in. Each state has its own insurance policies and insurance rates and all this kind of stuff. So where you register was going to influence that. Also, if you were going state to state, you might have more likelihood of getting pulled over if you were spending more time in state number two rather than the state that you were licensed and registered in. All these things, there's so many things that came into play with it, but it's all been going on for a long fucking time, making it harder and harder on them. The gas prices going up also has a part to do with that, but everyone's still ignoring it. I can't tell you how many times I've heard over the last few weeks about how cheap gas is. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It's $1.50 higher than it was just a few years ago. And just because it's gotten down a little bit does not mean it's not going to jump back up. If you look, if you notice, we've used up all of our reserves. We're not drilling for anything much anymore, and anything we are doing, we're sending it overseas to our alliances. All these areas are fucking silly, man. How's everyone coming to me and saying this? Things are getting better. What the fuck, man?
The sulfur something or other, and then Leslie Run Creek to rise and spill over the makeshift dam near the derailment site. 19 News was able to obtain several photos of water from that man-made dam covering the Main Street area of town. Residents fear the contaminated water may seep into homes or businesses, causing another level of fear for those who live in the area. Now, this person, Eric Koza, says, I fear that now the chemical is in the ground, it's going to leach towards the water ducts, our aquifer for drinking water. I'm concerned that the park is now contaminated. Kids won't be able to play there or walk through there on their way to school. So, then it says, y'all, I don't know how to say it right, and I know it's a really popular channel here on YouTube. Status Coop News, I think that's what it is, COUP, right? Status Coop News. They've been reporting from East Palestine. I think a lot of you guys have mentioned that in my videos, that they've been there kind of on the ground, boots on the ground, if you will, going through, talking to the people in the area, which is absolutely amazing that they were able to get in and talk to these people. It says they've been there reporting from East Palestine and speaking with residents since the disaster occurred, reported Friday night that flooding from the breach dam was going into the original Roadhouse restaurant parking lot where a lot of locals eat and drink. The outlet also reported that the pictures of the broken dam posted on social media were taken by a local resident named Nico Figley, who was told by contractors to leave the area because it was super dangerous to be here right now. Now, what I want to do is show you a picture, which is like a really blurry kind of picture. But this is the picture of the dam that they said broke, and the subsequent flood from the broken dam, all right? I also want to just quickly point out that I don't know who Nico Figli is, but we are having to go off of what he is saying when he was told that it was super dangerous to be here right now. It's possible it was said that way. It's also possible it wasn't said. So please, again, you have to keep things in mind when you're looking at what's happening and when you're hearing what you're being told. Look at what you're seeing also. Again, I want to show you this picture one more time, okay? I want y'all to see this picture just one more time. Let's go down here. Let's see. I'll make sure I get you the right stuff here. I don't think this part matters. Why on earth taking incinerating soil? Okay, we're gonna get back over to the flood part because that's the important part here. So this one here is from an Ohio reporter. This is from HighlandCountyPress.com, which is in Hillsboro, Ohio. So East Palestine updates released, and this has more than just the dam breakage. So I want to read this to you. The following are updates from the state of Ohio, regarding remediation work at the site of the Norfolk Southern train derailment in East Palestine, Ohio. Dam modification for water overflow. The dam at the confluence of Sulphur Run and Leslie Run continues to work as expected. Although it may have appeared that the dam in this area was breached on Friday evening, the overflow of water was part of the mitigation plan to address the increase in water caused by heavy rains.
I just want to break from that again because I was just thinking of something else too to do with the truckers, with everybody, with cars, with vehicles in general. What happened here? Wasn't on pause? What the hell? I must have hit it. I don't know. I must have hit it or something. Goes green and then I take the filter off, so I don't know where I was on it. Okay, so as I start talking, I'm gonna check the minutes. 27 minutes. All right. So we took back to the truckers thing, because it has to do with the train derailments and the truckers and the road privileges and the discontinuation of the roads, our infrastructure's all falling apart, that kind of thing. Because it was all purposeful, it was intended. They told us that this is the way that it was going to go down. We all knew this is the way it was going to go down. We're going to be in severe fucking debt and by trillions and trillions of dollars, and then they're going to go back on that debt. And so, in other words, it's all been told. But anyways, some of the signs that all these things have been happening already, they're not something that's coming, is the toll booths. So the toll booth operators go away. So these $27 to $35 an hour jobs that people got just if they knew somebody, because you had to be connected to get a toll booth job, because it was good money for just something that you stand around all fucking day doing nothing. Not that anybody would want to be that bored out of their mind, but the money was really good. So all those jobs went away. No one talks about that. That was a lot of them. That was a lot of jobs. And so we could go over to the cameras. So when the cameras go by, and again, this is related to the truckers too, because this is what happened to them. That's how they know you're in one state more than you're in your own state. So if you're a truck driver and you're registered in, let's say you're registered in New York, no one would do that. You'd probably register in Connecticut or something like that along those lines. So you register in Connecticut and you're running back and forth to New York all the time. So they find that your truck is on the highways. How do they know? Because you have a transponder on the top of your vehicle. But it gets even worse than the transponders keeping track of you, because the transponder does pick up and tell the computer, the AI, what your plate number is, where you're located, and all that stuff. But now another camera has to actually take a picture of your plate. But now don't get too excited about that one either, because not only is it taking a picture of your plate and identifying your plate, but it has to identify your car. How do we know that? Because if you try to re-register your vehicle and you change your transponder from one vehicle to the other, then you know that it's registering and saying, because if anybody's been through this, I have, and I can tell you without a doubt, that's the way it works. So in other words, if you get a new vehicle and you take your transponder out, you're supposed to call them and let them know, or you email them, or whatever it is you got to do, and you got to change the transponder over to the new license plate. And then if the license plate does not match the vehicle, you will also get caught for that and say, well, wait a minute, that's a 2010 BMW, and the other car is registered to a 90. So how would they know that without the cameras knowing that, right? And that means the AI knows that everything, they're all fucking connected. So if they're doing that to cars, then they're certainly doing it to the trucks, because the truckers are going back and forth state to state all the time, and they know when the truckers are in each state. So if you spend too much time in New York, they will no longer allow you to register in Connecticut, right? That shit like that was going on, and it's been going on a long fucking time, man. 15 years or so that I know that's all been going on. So when this girl here is talking about the train derailments and all that stuff, they're all fucking connected with getting us off the road, taking away our rights to travel and freedom. Um, that's why when you hear someone like Clayton Morris over on Redacted, and they make small mentions of those things, and they don't do any full reports on them, they just say, "Oh yeah, we're fucked because they're taking away our rights." Um, let's get a little more specific about how and where and when and why we even let them do this over and over and over again, instead of just pointing out that they're doing it and being an entertainment channel and entertaining each other with this fucking bullshit, you know? Let's actually do something to not let it happen anymore. Let's talk to each other instead of talking to the computer like I'm doing now.
The dam did not fail. As surface water accumulated in the floodplain area at the confluence of Sulphur and Leslie Runs, the dams there were modified to.
And that's what she's going to get into in a minute too, is the water plants. So we just lost in the United States. If I can let this girl talk for fucking 10 minutes and shut my mouth, she's going to explain to you where she got the information from. But they are responsible for 80% of the United States' processing water. So therefore, every town, every city, everywhere you go, the company that processes the water had an explosion, had a plane. That might be the one that the plane crashed into. I'm gonna let her talk and she can explain it. But if I don't get to that before this video ends, at least you got the gist of what it is, and I'll try to get it into the next video. But that's what's going on. Now, that means that it's over 80%. Over 80% of the United States' water has one processing plant. The other one, she points out, is in China. That's the only other one we could use. So then we'd have to be getting our chemicals that we process our water with to clean our water, and it cleans out a lot of different bad stuff out of our water with these particular chemicals. So they only have a couple choices, as she points out. You can either let it ride and we can suck on the dirty fucking pipes. Either way, we're sucking on the dirty pipes anyway, just to let you know. I can prove that, but I don't get into it. But either way, because we don't know our heavy metals and minerals we're supposed to be taking into our body, then taking 2 showers a day is not good for us, because we're absorbing all these heavy metals and minerals that we don't even want in our body, some of them. And we're overdoing it and that kind of thing. And then drinking the water as well. We put all this bad stuff in it and all that shit. But let's see if we can let her talk a little more.
Allow for water overflow. According to the Ohio EPA, the contractor created a depression in the dam to relieve the overflow and lower the water level, and vacuum trucks were then used to pull up the released water. This mitigation work allowed the contractor to control the runoff in the derailment area, and the Ohio EPA does not believe that any visible contaminated waste was released into the streams. In fact, the water from the dammed area that was allowed to overflow has been tested daily prior to the storm and had shown very low or non-detectable dissolved contaminant levels. Out of an abundance of caution, the ponded rainwater that was released was sampled before it was collected for disposal. Test results are expected in 2 to 3 days. Ohio EPA will continue daily stream monitoring. Now, I want to, as I was reading this, the way this was written, it bothered me for a second. The mitigation work allowed the contractor. No. That's not it. Hold on. Dam overflow, water, lower level, vacuum, blah. The Ohio EPA does not believe that any visible contaminated waste was released into the streams. So they're saying there's visible contaminated waste near the stream? That's what that sounds like to me. Here's my question. Why in the absolute hell is there still visible contaminated waste near the streams? I need answers on that, because the way they phrase that, let's pull up that picture. Hold on, we're gonna go back to that the other thing with that picture, because the way they have that phrased makes it sound like contaminated waste. So if that's the case, y'all, if that is the case, if they are saying contaminated waste near the dam did not breach it, they're talking about that soil. Y'all see that right there? That would have to be what they're talking about, is that soil that is just sitting there. So why is it there then? They have been working on pulling up the soil and sending it out to different locations, which again, they're supposed to keep it in Ohio, but Sneaky Pete, they decided to send some of it to Indiana. You still have the one that went to Michigan. Is there some in Illinois? No. And then the water went to Texas Molecular.
You know, the good side of all this is of this what's going on in Ohio that no one's thinking of, is that we can pretty much guarantee then, if they're if they're getting their being eliminated from within, then they're not gonna get hit with one of the penises. When they start throwing penises all over the place at each other, then that means that that region's poisoned in a different way. All of us are gonna be poisoned in different ways. So when that all goes down, which seems like it's just months away at this point, that's why everything's picking up in every state, every country, every state is picking up, and getting worse and worse. Some of the other things that we should talk about, and I'll try to in future videos, is again the suspicious, what you would call earthquakes and tornadoes and the weather and the shit that she was mentioning. I mean, I'm trying to show you. I'm trying to show you how it all works. I'm trying to show you this is how it really works. And no one's believing it. No one believes me. I'm gonna put the red filter back on. There's no filter on there now.
I don't think Illinois has anything. I don't know why Illinois is in my head. I think I have something in here for Illinois for you. But if they're saying that contaminated, they're talking about that soil that's still sitting there then as of February, sorry, March 3rd. Friday was March 3rd. Saturday was the 4th. Sunday was the 5th. Today's the 6th. So that means that a month later, contaminated soil is still sitting next to this water. I have an issue with that here. Now, where's that picture? I want to show you that picture again. So this picture.
So if I haven't said it already, this is this video up on the screen of the Mineral Streets is Jordan Peterson Series Part 4 on the Michael Oziak channel.
Here, let me get so this one here. What I want you to notice here is that it seems to me, again, I'm not there, so Status Coop may have a better idea, but it seems to me this is the dam, obviously, that they were talking about, right? Where they've rocked it up, they've like shored it up over here on the sides too. You can see the little yellow barrier here. You've got the plastic barrier over here, and what they're saying is that they willingly let this overflow, and then they built this down here for the overflow, knowing that this was going to get too high, so they built an overflow. Shouldn't you get it off your skin like absolutely immediately? So that part didn't make sense to me when I was reading this. And then it talks about first aid for if it's on your skin or if you inhale it. DOE. This work was conducted under the subcontract of the uranium division of the Mallinckrodt Chemical Works. The work in trees and local flora and swirling in the air, landing on people's cars, cars, lawns, and homes. Now, the reason I mentioned this, do you not remember that maybe like a week or two ago, there were issues where people were walking outside and seeing this white, like off-white dust film on everything, and I cannot remember what state this was in. Y'all are gonna have to tell me in the comments because I cannot remember. But people were like, "Hey, is this from the East Palestine, cloud of doom, like all of the chemicals that were released? Is this from that?" And somebody was like, "Oh no, it's just pollen from a storm, like all the way over on the West Coast. It just finally made its way over here. It's just pollen. Don't worry about it. Well,
Right, and all these things can be pushed with electromagnetic current. So if there's a group of humans, and there are, that know how to control that current, the sine waves, what I'm telling you are sine waves, and you know how to control all that, then it should not be unreasonable. When I'm listening to Rising talk the other day, Brianna and Robbie don't get it yet, and most people don't because they're thrown off with stories of conspiracy theories. But those sine waves are all being controlled, and that's what's pushing the weather around, whether it's earthquakes, tornadoes, uh, rain, snow, lightning, you name it. It's all controllable, and it's all being controlled by humans. And we always had this. This is the technology we used to use to build with. Is what you now today call weather. We used to use this technology to do our building with, and evidence for that's still here on this earth with us. And we should be able to go and look at it and talk about it openly. But unfortunately, we're not. My videos are going to get shut down. My videos are already getting shut down again since yesterday. I noticed that this girl lost a video. She don't even realize it yet that she lost one of her good videos too, unless she deleted it herself. But I don't think so. She would have probably mentioned it and said, "Oh, I had to delete this video because I said some stuff or something." But she's not even noticing it. It's crazy. The whole thing's fucking crazy.
people here probably would have thought it was pollen too if they hadn't seen the whole entire big plume of smoke. I just want you to put those two things together, okay? So, according to this, LaSalle resident Jamie Hicks was outside when the explosion happened. As a trained hazmat responder, he jumped in his truck to see where the blaze had originated. He turned on his windshield wipers to remove the ash, and streaks of green smeared across his window. In total, nearly 10,000 people were affected by the fire and the fallout. As community members saw dust gather, they were initially told it was too dangerous to touch. Then the local police department.
Right, but when there's tens of thousands per day of these mineral streets all over your heads and all dumping on your heads, and you all ignore it. People in your families, relatives, I know because I know I'm not the only one that's done this, go out and tell you, and you all ban him from the family or her, and you tell them you're fucking crazy, you're nuts, we don't understand what you're talking about, we don't see it, what's right in front of your fucking eyes. You can all look up and see what it is. So then once you see what it is, and then you learn what it is, and then you begin to understand how big these fucking lies have been all your lives and how you've all been lied to, then sit back and look at the bigger picture even. Because if they're dumping all that out and they're able to control your sunlight, how much sun you're able to get, how much vitamin D and you're able to get, and how much ultraviolet light you're able to get, which is less than what it used to be, by the way. And then they're able to cause a fungus and a mold or a barrier in between the earth that we walk on and their mineral streets that they dump out in the sky. And then they're able to push those mineral streets around in the sky at another level. In other words, the lower ones that we call the clouds. And they'll push them around at that level. That's not the same as the solar level or the probably a nuclear level. Um, but as you go through all these different levels of sine waves that they use to push and pull these heavy metals and minerals around, then you got the what we call the cloud level, which is pushing around rainstorms, thunder and lightning storms, and snow, and you can get precipitation out of them because they know which heavy metals and minerals to add to do that: aluminum, strontium, barium, lithium oxide, carbons. So if you want to dump out one batch of chemicals or heavy metals and minerals, I'll call them. If you're going to dump out several types of mineral streets on one end, and then you come through with other jets that are dumping out three other types of heavy metals and minerals, once they mix, then you're going to see, number one, you're going to see the colors mix, just like you're seeing right now in your camera, and you'll see the colors. You will see the imagery. You will see the true creator's imagery. You will see the true creator's builders for yourself. But don't confuse the true creator's work from a bunch of fucking humans that have enslaved you. Don't do that. Don't waste your time. Go look at what I'm showing you. Appreciate the true creator's work. Separate it in your head from what these lion-ass humans are telling you. Because they're telling you, oh no, that's just planes that are bringing people back and forth, and they're just going, it's just for coming from the airport, just regular airplanes. Don't get crazy. Don't talk nuts. Take your tinfoil hat off and all this kind of shit, right? To make you feel like you're fucking nuts. You're not nuts. You're seeing reality. You're seeing things for what they are. So knock it off. Just fucking everyone wake the hell up.
Advise the public to clean up the mess themselves by pouring a mixture of water, hydrogen peroxide, and vinegar on the ash tube.
And then where do you think that all this shit falls when they're dumping it out? So if they dump out heavy metals and minerals, some of them they may want to end up using for storms. Others that make it down to the ground have a different what we call weight, because we base everything on up, down, left, right, backward, forward, in and out. So therefore we can add certain heavy metals and minerals, attach them to the heavy metals and minerals we want to reach the ground, and then they will reach the ground. You're not seeing them in your everyday life because you're ignoring them, but they're there. They're all around us. You'll call it dust, you'll call it whatever, air. Everyone likes to call it air and dust.
To deactivate its danger. Explain to me how in the hell the local police department gets to decide what to do with literally toxic chemicals. Like, just like you have Governor DeWine being the one to say, oh, no.